invite you to kindly take your seats so that we may begin. Oh, the place got so quiet. And don't be afraid, you can sit closer. We don't have to sit in the back of the room, I promise. But we invite everyone to kindly take their seats so that we may begin shortly. I now invite everyone to kindly stand for the playing of the national anthem. Please be seated. I can't help but smile every time I hear my anthem. Senator the Honorable Aubin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, aka our Minister of Business. Her Excellency, Dr. Aria Ascolo, European Union Ambassador and Head of Delegation. His Excellency, Jose Maria Fernandez Lopez de Turizo, que clase nombre, Ambassador of Spain, Embajador de España, bienvenido, señor. Other members of the Diplomatic Corps, Mrs. Santia Bennett Templar, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Dr. Damie Sinanon, Executive Director, Caribbean Export Development Agency, Mrs. Shillette Cox, President, Jamaica Promotions Corporation, JAMPRO, other members of the Caribbean Export Development Agency team, other heads of agencies, I think I see Dr. Kerry Wallace, other distinguished guests, entrepreneurs, policymakers, development partners, industry leaders, local, regional, international, those of you in the room, those of you joining us remotely, good morning and welcome to the launch of the Caribbean Investment Forum 2025. Are you convinced? I am not convinced. So let me try to put this into perspective. If we are looking at a region and we're looking at the Caribbean, then we can agree that there is no region like the Caribbean. There is no region more creative, more vibrant, more resilient, or more promising. Do I get an amen? When we think about a region that packs way above its weight class, we can surely say it is the Caribbean. Do I get an amen? When it comes to innovation and progress, we see that all of the islands, all of the countries, all of the mainland countries that form the Caribbean are doing their things independently, of which we're extremely proud. But we know that as a region, if we do it together, so much more can be done. Do we agree? I am no expert. I am not an industry leader. I am here serving in the capacity of a co-host. But I can tell you that just as a citizen of this world, it is obvious to us with the political wars, the trade wars, we see economic wars, we see discontentment and disagreement, and where there's a lot of chatter and conversation about challenges, we see opportunities. It is the time where we are to be even more strategic, more purposeful, more intentional about our collaboration and our partnerships with investors and other neighboring islands. So when we consider everything that I've just said, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the launch of the Caribbean's premier Investment Forum 2025. Much better. I'm excited, and I hope you're excited as well, and we cannot wait to dive into what this morning hopes to be. I am Terry Carell, I said it earlier, I am your co-host, and joining me as my co-host, the lovely lady in yellow on stage, Joellen, who is the lead partnerships advocacy and reporting, representing the Caribbean export. How are you? Good morning.
Thank you ever so much. I am very, very well and extremely excited and pleased to be here once again in Jamaica. I don't think I have been here since, I think it was pre-pandemic actually. And so it's wonderful to be here. And, you know, for the Caribbean Investment Forum, I think, you know, the pandemic, you know, set up a chain of reaction, quite rightly so. But what has happened is that there has been there's been a renewed confidence, let's say, in the investment climate across the world and globally. You know, with mishaps like the pandemic, you know, it breeds opportunity. And you know, the Caribbean Investment Forum, I believe it's very timely. It's happening at a very timely point because, you know, in 2022, it was reported by the World Investment Forum that, you know, there was a surge in investment in the region by 53%, you know, to $5.1 billion US dollars. And, you know, when we embarked upon the Investment Forum, I mean, this is our fourth one, and, you know, we embarked upon it in 2022 in Trinidad and Tobago. In fact, you were there with us for hosting us in Trinidad and Tobago. And so we're right here now. We've been to the Bahamas. We've also been to Guyana last year. And this year, for the fourth one, we're going to be here in Jamaica. And it's an absolute honor to be able to partner with the Government of Jamaica, obviously the European Union, our long-standing partner with the Caribbean Export Development Agency, the CARICOM, as well as Republic Bank, you know, the regional bank that has been with us from the beginning of the Caribbean Investment Forum's inception in 2022.
Fantastic. So 4 years, we're landing in Jamaica, really, really excited to host you. I hosted in 2022 Trinidad and Tobago, and I had the opportunity of saying, hi everyone, I'm Terry Carell, and I hail from the beautiful island of Jamaica. And this year I'll be able to welcome our guests to the shores of Jamaica. And thank you so very much for choosing us. 4 years, biggest lesson?
Over the 4 years, I would say that, you know, each year the interest has grown significantly. And I mean, from the types of projects, the innovation, the things that people are bringing to the table, that people are bringing to the actual forum itself to highlight. And we're going to hear a little bit more about this a little bit later on. But, you know, it's an event where people connect. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the main thing. And maybe that's because of the pandemic, because everybody was isolated. They were so keen to get out and actually reconnect. And we have really found that, you know, at the Investment Forum, people have been able to find that missing piece of the puzzle and be able to make the engagements and make those, start to build the relationships that they need in order to spearhead and move their concepts and their projects further.
How lovely. And the theme, smart, green, connected. the fearless leader who we would love to hear more, not just about SIF and what we can expect, but the Caribbean export. We'd like to welcome Dr. Dami Sinanan, Executive Director, Caribbean Export. Please welcome him.
Senator, the Honorable Auburn Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Her Excellency Dr. Urja Ascola, Ambassador, European Union Delegation to Jamaica, Belize and Bahamas, Ms. Shulette Cox, President of JAMPRO and Representative of the Board of Directors and Caribbean Export Development Agency, members of the Diplomatic Corps, and on all other protocols observed. It's certainly a pleasure to be here in Jamaica, one of my absolute favorite places to be. Terry's a fan. To really bring Caribbean Investment Forum to Jamaica. I think when we started this thing out, we saw it as a movement. We saw it as a way to bring attention to the Caribbean region. And I'm so very excited that we're going to be bringing it to Jamaica, one of the pioneer islands of the Caribbean region. So let me begin by expressing my deepest appreciation to Minister Auburn Hill for really championing this, and of course the government of Jamaica, including the colleagues at JAMPRO for really partnering with us on making this happen. I also want to thank the European Union. They have been our longest partner at Caribbean Export Development Agency, and we really appreciate your support. I would also like to acknowledge our partners at CARICOM, led by Secretary Carla Barnett. They have been a partner with us as well from the very, very start. And I also would like to recognize past sponsors and supporters, as well as current sponsors who will no doubt come on board for Caribbean Investment Forum. For the past 25 years, Caribbean Export, we are the regional trade and investment promotion agencies working across 15 member states. We have worked very, very closely in partnership with businesses, governments, and developmental actors to strengthen the productive sectors, improve export competitiveness, attract foreign direct investment, and really drive regional integration. And I think Terry, when she spoke earlier, at a time when the international economic environment, there's so much uncertainty, we as a Caribbean region really need to band together to work with our partners and to really try to push the region forward. We have to do it, and we have to lead the charge, and I think Caribbean Investment Forum is well placed to lead that charge. This is articulated in our 2025 to 2028 strategic plan. We launched our strategic plan earlier this year, and our strategy is a response, a direct response to the urgent needs of our region, and a blueprint for transformative impact. I like the good, the bad, the ugly as well. Our strategic plan really places emphasis on improving export competitiveness and attracting foreign direct investment into the Caribbean region, which is really where the Caribbean Investment Forum sits. Our strategic plan's early momentum was really reflected in our annual results report, which was launched just last month in Barbados. Our annual results report outlined the tangible achievements that Caribbean Export has made over the past 5 years, from job creation to business expansion, and the results tell a compelling story of regional progress, because at the end of the day, it's all about results. It's not about outputs, it's about impact, it's about jobs, and it's about the livelihoods of our Caribbean people. And right now, Caribbean Export is currently implementing 6 economic development programs with a total value of USD 18 million, targeted towards the advancement of Caribbean businesses. Thank you. The Caribbean Investment Forum really exemplifies this mission. Since its inception in 2022, CIF has been about turning vision into opportunity, delivering concrete investment deals, and connecting innovators to investors, and forging strong public-private partnerships. Each edition has built on the last. From Trinidad and Tobago in 2022 to the Bahamas in 2023 and Guyana in 2024, CIF has evolved into what I firmly believe, and of course no bias here, the Caribbean's premier investment platform. Together, cumulatively, we have welcomed over 1,500 delegates into the Caribbean region, connected investors from more than 50 countries across all continents, minus Antarctica, and showcased bankable projects with a capital investment value of over $350 million US. And CIF, which will be hosted July 29th to the 31st in Montego Bay, we are aiming even higher. And Jamaica is the perfect partner to make it happen. Jamaica is bold. It is a country with an ambitious vision to become the Caribbean logistics and investment hub. It has a growing digital economy, a strong entrepreneurial ecosystem, and commitment towards climate resilience. There is no better stage to highlight the Caribbean's investment readiness and economic potential than Jamaica. At CIF 2025, we will focus sharply on 4 key pillars, which is sort of reflected in our theme. The first one is green economy transition. I don't think I need to really repeat the challenges that the Caribbean region is facing in terms of climate change. It's going to impact us severely for the foreseeable future unless action is taken. At CIF, we will showcase investment-ready projects in renewable energy, sustainable infrastructure, and climate finance. These opportunities will help reduce the region's dependence on fossil fuels, lower energy costs, and unlock capital for long-term low-carbon growth, ensuring that the Caribbean remains resilient, competitive, and aligned with global sustainability. Second pillar is digital transformation and innovation. Coming out of the pandemic, we really understood the need to be more digital and more innovative in the way we do business. Other regions in the world have seen their digital infrastructure grow significantly. The share of digitalized products rose from 35% in December 2019 to 55% by July 2020, with Asia Pacific experiencing a decade's worth of growth in under a year. Think about that. These trends, where the rest of the world is going, in order for us to be competitiveness, we have to close that digital gap. And at CIF, we will highlight investable projects in fintech, e-commerce, ICT infrastructure, and digital entrepreneurship. These solutions will empower the region's businesses to accelerate regional integration and ensure the Caribbean is not just digitally connected, but digitally competitiveness and climate smart. The third pillar is sustainable agriculture. Food security. We have to be able to feed our people. And to do that, we have to invest in sustainable agriculture. I want to highlight CARICOM's 25 by 2030 initiative, which aims to reduce food imports by 25% by 2030. And CIF, we will highlight the projects that will make this a reality. From climate-resilient crop systems to technology-driven food processing, these investments are essential for ensuring regional food security, reducing the agriculture sector's vulnerability, and creating sustainable livelihood across rural communities. And the final pillar is logistics and transportation, which is about moving goods, people, and data seamlessly across borders. Improving containerization and digital logistics systems will enhance supply chain efficiency and position the Caribbean as a competitive trade gateway between North and South America, Africa, and Europe. We are not just talking about opportunities at CIF, we are curating them. For CIF 2025, we are developing a comprehensive investment catalog that will be shared in advance with target investors. We are actively matching investors to projects, fast-tracking conversations, and reducing friction in the investment process. And we aim to welcome over 600 plus delegates to showcase millions of dollars in potential investment and spark real partnerships. CIF is not just a conference, it's not a talk shop. It's a high-impact event delivering real economic results. But as always, none of this can be done alone, and I'd like to thank the Caribbean Export team, our steadfast partners, and the local planning committee here in Jamaica, everyone working behind the scenes on bringing this vision to life. So let me end here with this note. CIF 25 is about showcasing the world that the Caribbean is more than just a beautiful place to visit. It's a serious place to do business. a place where investments can create jobs, a place where innovation thrives, a place that is ready to lend and lead in sustainability, technology, and regional cooperation. My colleagues later on will provide some more details on what to expect for this exciting event. So I encourage everyone, mark your calendars for July 29th to the 31st, Montego Bay Convention Center, Jamaica. Come, let us come together to build, network, and transform so that the Caribbean region will be smart, green, and connected. Thank you all very much. Do enjoy your meeting.
Very well said, sir. Thank you so very much. And this is why you are the fearless leader. He was able to efficiently speak about not just the role of the Caribbean Export, but why CIF or CIF 2025, why it's so important, what's its role. I think for me, one of the biggest takeaways is that the Caribbean is not just sea, sand, sun, and fun, but that we are creators, that we are competitive, and that we are competent. I thought that was one of the biggest takeaways for me. What about you?
Yeah, most certainly. I think, one of the things that I'd like to kind of just pick up from what Demi was saying there is, whilst, we implement these projects and these programs, what's important is that, we have the impact and the results, because it really is affecting our livelihoods of the everyday people. And whilst we could be here talking about these large-scale projects, multi-million-dollar projects, but we've got to be able to see the trickle-down effect, the fact that it affects the livelihoods of the people, and I think that is really what's important and front and center into everything that we want to do as an agency at Caribbean Export.
Absolutely. I particularly enjoyed him speaking about, economic transformation. It has to be viable, so we're looking at profits. But he said that it has to be sustainable, especially considering we are a vulnerable region, so that's speaking about the planet. And as you rightfully said, we look at the livelihood of the Caribbean people. So we heard from Sir Dami. Who do we have next?
Well, actually, our next speaker actually is from the European Union, and I think, it's quite right that, that we partner with, we have, solid partners like the European Union. As Dami would have mentioned, we've been around for close to 30 years now, actually, Caribbean Export, and the European Union has stood with us every step of the way. Many of you may not realize that Caribbean Export was actually a simple project, and we've been totally committed to private sector development and growth within the region, alongside the European Union. And, over the years, we obviously implemented the EDF programs, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, and we're now on the 3rd regional private sector development program. And so, it's about having these strong partnerships to really work with and cooperate with as we do this moving forward. And so it's my pleasure to invite Her Excellency Dr. Erika Escola, the Ambassador for the European Union, to Bahamas and Jamaica and Belize.
Please make her welcome, please.
Thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. Let me first of all recognize the presence of Senator, the Honorable Minister Obin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Dr. Dami Sinanan, Executive Director from Caribbean Export Development Agency, Ms. Shulette Cox, President of JAMPRO, and the Diplomatic Corps. Let me specifically recognize the presence of our dearest EU member states in the audience today. We have 4 of them here present. We have Belgium, France, Germany, and Spain. Thanks for coming, because within the European Union, we have 27 member states, and they are the ones who have companies. There is no such thing as an EU company. They are Spanish, or they are Belgian, or French, or German, or others, whereas we have in the European Union, we have our institutions and we have our institutional powers. We legislate, we execute, and we judiciate. So this is how the European Union works, and I'm happy to have the EU member states present here. Distinguished guests, members of media, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to participate in this official media launch of the Caribbean Investment Forum. I've been in the country here in Jamaica, which is also my favorite place on earth. I've been here only less than a year. Less than a year, but I would say that my love for this country is increasing when the time goes by. Let me first of all thank the Government of Jamaica for hosting this event. It's a landmark event. And I would like to thank specifically Honourable Minister Aubin Hill for having insisted and for managing to bring this to Jamaica this year. We are also very pleased to partner with the Caribbean Export Development Agency, which is behind the organization of this event. And we have been partnering with the Caribbean Export for over 10 years, or even much more, for organizing these kind of business fora in the Caribbean and in Europe. And I would also like to congratulate Dami, your team, for the excellent work that you are doing on private sector development, regional integration, and all these matters. Our common goal is to promote trade, investment, and private sector development in this region. The reason for this is very simple. These three elements are the most powerful engine for development, for growth and job creation in the Caribbean. I would say that I would like to add a couple of points on what the EU is doing specifically here in Jamaica and in the Caribbean to work towards this common goal. First of all, our economic partnership is firmly rooted in a legally binding international treaty, which is built on trust and mutual commitments. This is precisely what we need in the current environment more than ever. Reliable, predictable, and rules-based partnerships. And this is not just lip service. The CARICOM EU Economic Partnership Agreement is already delivering. It is a reciprocal but asymmetric, development-oriented free trade agreement. Having this agreement guarantees that the EU market will remain open for Caribbean exports. There are currently no tariffs, no quotas, and there will be no tariffs and no quotas on Caribbean exports, any goods. And I will repeat, there are no tariffs and there will be no tariffs. And on any goods made in the 14 IPA partner countries, including Jamaica. And we are not talking about any market here. We are talking about a single market, a huge single market of 27 countries and 450 million consumers with a relatively high purchasing power. Access to this market and duty-free access to this market is something that matters for investors. They need export opportunities for the products they produce. And let me just mention an example of a non-European company that decided to set up its production facilities in a Caribbean country with the aim of exporting a large part of that production to the EU duty-free. So it is the trading opportunities, export opportunities under this agreement, they do matter for investments, and that's why I would like to highlight this part of this partnership, or this element, or this, I would say, feature of this partnership, that it creates a predictable and stable environment for investors and for traders. This partnership is about a lot more than just a goods trade. It has services. It addresses also intellectual property rights. trade and sustainable development, labor, environment, what have you. I could say much more about this, but that would be certainly for another day. We are not talking about the IPA alone here. Secondly, we are working strategically through our global gateway investment strategy to promote public and private sector investments. Our focus is specifically on 3 key areas: digital transformation, green transition. Here in Jamaica, we are engaging in renewable energy policies, policy making, transport connectivity in Jamaica, developing Kingston Harbour into a world-class modern logistics hub. And all this will help improve the investment environment in Jamaica. If all goes well, it will bring down energy costs, it will cut red tape, and it will cut down transaction costs for companies. It will also improve productivity and competitiveness and the much needed regional integration and connectivity in the Caribbean region. In Jamaica, we are also working very closely with Minister Hill and his team on the business environment to simplify trade and investment procedures and make life easier for companies to operate in a friendly environment with better regulation, faster processes, faster services, and greater predictability. My final point is on European companies. Many European companies have excelled in this region and in Jamaica specifically. I can mention, for instance, sectors like water management, sectors like energy transition, renewable energy, beverages, and also the operation of the transshipment port in Kingston, and in transforming the port into this world-class logistics hub that I just mentioned. These companies are investing, they are creating jobs, and they are contributing to the vibrant economy of Jamaica. I believe that there is still a lot to be done, and there is still great potential, untapped potential in our partnership. It is, after all, the private sector, Jamaican and international, that will transform these opportunities, the opportunities that these partnerships create into reality and into concrete results on the ground. We hope that the platform of CIF will be effective in connecting businesses in Europe, in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, and internationally, and we hope it will catalyze new partnerships and new collaborations. We are really proud to be part of this dynamic process, and I'm looking forward to this event in July. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Ambassador. Thank you for the very kind remarks and the compliments about Jamaica. She did point out that we have other members of the diplomatic corps. Bonjour, bienvenue, et guten Morgen. That's the best French and the best German that I can possibly give you. But welcome, good morning. Thank you so very much for being here. Listening to the ambassador speak, I think it was a perfect tie between what she was saying and what Dr. Sinanan was saying. Earlier, he said that what Carbon Export really wants to do is to increase exports, right? In terms of assisting in the economic drive, livelihood, job creation. And then the ambassador came and she said, when you look at trade, investment, development, these are powerful agents when it talks about job creation as well as growth. And clearly we heard the entire room applaud when she said, no tariffs, no quotas on exports, which really means that we're all, please. We can't stress how much that absolutely assists in the objectives of the carbon export and what we're trying to do. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, most definitely. I think, it's quite clear that there is there is a thirst for the opportunity to connect and engage. And I think obviously, you know, it really is about doing business. I always remember the JAMPRO logo, do business Jamaica, and that really is what it's about. And, you know, being able to leverage platforms like the Caribbean Investment Forum and also all of the other activities and that we host as an agency. There's a plethora of activities that we host and projects that we implement to really support the development of businesses, and it's really up to the businesses to kind of leverage those opportunities because they are there. As the ambassador mentioned, she's been supporting the region and Caribbean Export in the implementation of these EDF programs. We have obviously the trade agreements there, the EPA is there, and they really are there to be leveraged by the businesses to be able to support their growth and export. Because as we know, the Caribbean is a small market, and with the I say the birth, it's been around for a little while now, with digitalization and the global economy now, there are no borders. And businesses really have to realize that when they're coming up with these new ideas and their new concepts, whilst could be solving a problem for your local market, is it a global problem? There's no reason why some of these businesses should be thinking about global first when they're coming up with their ideas and so forth. I mean, and obviously we're here to talk about the Caribbean Investment Forum, right? So we know that it's taking place from the 29th to the 31st of July in Montego Bay, and it's a place where businesses will be able to connect and engage. A key aspect.
And who should be trying to come here? For persons who've never heard of CIF, they're getting some information now. Like, who should really be interested in coming and who will benefit?
So I would say this is for business persons, business owners, people that have innovations and projects that they are looking for, maybe to connect with somebody else, the other part of the puzzle that they haven't been able to solve maybe. And that could be from a financial point of view, that could be from technical expertise as well, industry expertise. But I mean, I'm not going to go into too much detail at this point because we do have Wayne joining us in a little while to delve into the nitty-gritty as it relates to what to expect at the Caribbean Investment Forum. And I also, just to piggyback upon what the ambassador was talking about, the development that's been here in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's, one of the statistics that I read, coming before this event was that, this renewed investor confidence in the region, whilst, we've seen a surge in the Caribbean of I think I said 51%, right? In Jamaica specifically, forgive me if I'm incorrect, but this is what the statistics told me. This is what the report said, that Jamaica has attracted $431 million in foreign direct investment just in 2023, which was a 35% increase on the previous year. So, I mean, these numbers, yeah, for sure is there. There are the opportunities, and as they say, money talks, right? And they're investing. So we just want to make sure that the investment keeps coming. And as much as, we're looking for the international investors, even from within the region, because there are some heavy hitters within the region itself. And I think it's important to also acknowledge and recognize those as well.
Absolutely. And on that note, what I have noticed is that we are saying that this is not lip service, this is not a talk shop. This is about planning, preparation, strategy, implementation, and then after implementing, measuring, monitoring, tracking, looking at the results, and then asking us, how do we refine? Well, speaking about doing business, speaking about packaging, exporting, getting all the right people in the right room to help our entrepreneurs to increase their visibility naturally and their livelihood, we have the fantastic president of JAMPRO, Shulette Cox. Please make her welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Let me recognize Senator the Honorable Auburn Hill, the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Her Excellency, Dr. Herja Ascola, European Union Ambassador and Head of Delegation, other representatives of the Diplomatic Corps based here in Jamaica, my Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Sancia Bennett Templar, Dr. Demi Sinanan, Executive Director of the Caribbean Export Development Agency, and other members of the Caribbean Export Development Agency team, distinguished guests, colleagues, partners, other heads of agencies, media fraternity, friends, local, overseas, those joining us online. It is my distinct pleasure to stand here today, both as the President of the Jamaica Promotions Corporation, Jamaica's premier export and investment promotion agency, and a board member of the Caribbean Export Development Agency, as we together launch this year's edition of the Caribbean Investment Forum 2025, to be held in Montego Bay, Jamaica in July 2025. As we welcome the Caribbean Investment Forum to Jamaica, JAMPRO welcomes the opportunity to showcase the diverse investment opportunities in Jamaica and across the Caribbean to the local and international investment community across the sectors of focus. The event offers a unique opportunity for us to showcase the Caribbean, just as Terry mentioned, not only as a region rich in culture and natural beauty, but as a dynamic hub for investment, innovation, and sustainable development. Today's launch of CIF, as we call it, we like an acronym for every single thing. Today's launch of CIF 2025 in Jamaica marks a significant milestone, not just for our nation, but for the entire Caribbean region. As we seek to gather once more under the banner of regional collaboration, coupled with economic transformation, we are reminded of the incredible potential that lies within our shores, individually and collectively, an untapped potential that is ready and yearning to be unlocked by the rest of the world. The forum's theme, smart, green, connected, and I see Wayne over there looking very proud of the theme because I know you were very central to it, resonates strongly with Jamaica's own vision for our country, as well as the region's shared aspiration for resilience, inclusiveness, and sustainable growth. As we work to transition toward green economies, expand our digital infrastructure, build robust logistics networks, and modernize agriculture for food, security, and export, the Caribbean Investment Forum could not be more timely or more necessary. CIF 2025 is being positioned to be more than just an event, but rather a strategic platform to bring together investors, entrepreneurs, and policymakers from across Jamaica, the region, and the world as we seek to drive innovation and forge new partnerships across the region. JAMPRO, as an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce in the Government of Jamaica, is proud to serve alongside Caribbean Export as a partner for this event. And while we remain committed to driving Jamaica's economic growth by promoting exports and investments, we also recognize that the future of our region and our country depends on how well we work together to position the Caribbean as a competitive, investment-ready destination on the global stage. JAMPRO's partnership with Caribbean Export is built on a shared commitment to promote competitiveness, facilitate private sector growth, and attract sustainable investments. We commend the Caribbean Export for its bold leadership in over the past 4 years positioning this forum as a regional flagship. And we acknowledge the critical role of the European Union and the Global Gateway Program, while also recognizing our government partners and stakeholders in making this forum possible. A special recognition to our minister and the wider cabinet who saw the vision and believed in the potential of the Government of Jamaica's partnership with Caribbean Export. As we launch CIF 2025, JAMPRO and indeed Jamaica reaffirms its dedication to advancing a connected Caribbean, smart in innovation, green in strategy, and connected in outcomes. We look forward to welcoming the global investment community to CIF 2025 and to welcoming CIF 2025 to Jamaica. Thank you.
Very well said. Thank you so very much. Always delivering her speeches with passion and vim and vigor. One of my greatest takeaways from what you said, Shulette, was that individually and collectively there's this untapped potential that the world is eager to really get a hold of. But you also said that the success of the future of not just Jamaica, but the Caribbean, the region, depends on how well we work together. It is no longer good enough for us individually to say we are and we do and we are, because we are still very small. But collectively, there's so much more that we can do. What are your thoughts?
Most certainly. I think most certainly, obviously, working together is absolutely imperative. I think I've mentioned it a couple of times now, having the strong partnerships and being able to work with the governments, work with the other business support organizations throughout the region is really key. And once we're able to work together, I think we can go much further, right? And that's really what is important as a whole. We've seen you just shift over there, which means that we're ready for our next segment, right?
Absolutely. And I think just before we invite Wayne up, I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I hosted the DPI Summit. It was the first time that this summit was being held in Jamaica. The ambassador of India was actually there, and they were speaking about their cities and how they're driving innovation, digital transformation, and how they're being really, really strategic with how they manage data and how they actually export this talent. And as they're talking about their cities and the millions of people within their cities, I started to ask, well, where do we scale, or how do we scale? We can't do it with just 2.9 in Jamaica, but then we have to now look at the Caribbean as well as the diaspora to see how our numbers actually will stand up against other places that have more people, more talent, and more resources.
Well, if you think about it, collectively within the region, there's approximately 30 million people. Tourism, I think, if you take into account the tourism as well coming in, I think we're reaching back to pre-pandemic levels and exceeding that. That's another 30 million. That's 60 million people here within the region as a whole. So it actually is a significant marketplace. So there is an opportunity to scale within the region. But as I say to you, it really is about, thinking global first. Whilst, I think a lot of business owners, you master your local market, then you master the region, then you master the international and the global marketplace. But if you're able to solve an issue that is affecting everybody globally, then it's,
beautiful.
You're unstoppable.
Beautiful. Well, earlier, Joellen was speaking about CIF, the forum, who is going to come, who is going to benefit, why they should come. And I saw this gentleman looking a little bit nervous in his seat because he was like, please don't give away all the information I am supposed to present. We welcome Wayne Elliott, Manager, Technical Programs from the Caribbean Export Development Agency, who will be here to unpack CIF and what is the call to action. No pressure, Wayne.
And everyone.
Hi, Wayne.
Good morning, Terry.
Now, before you start, I just want to say that typically in rooms like this, Senator the Honorable Auburn Hill, our Minister of Business, is the only tall, dark, bald, handsome gentleman. And it seems as if Sir Wayne here has come all the way from Trinidad and Tobago,
Barbados.
from Barbados, excuse me, to challenge the championship over here, Wayne. I hope
Not
that's
at
not
all.
what we're doing.
Not at all, not at all.
Okay, welcome, Wayne. We're very excited to have CIF 2025 in Jamaica. And I know that the team always tries to figure out how to make it bigger, better, more strategic, more impactful, so that when persons walk away, they go, well worth it. And this is something that is going to impact them, their communities, and their countries. Talk to us about CIF 2025 and what our attendees and even our partners can expect.
Sure, no problem. So we've done CIF, this is the fourth time. We've done it 3 times and we've had a lot of lessons that we're taking forward. And what you'll see is a lot of those are reflected in our agenda and what we have going forward. For us, what we're going to be doing, I'll tell you, I'll give you the breakdown, let's say by chronological order, the 29th to the 31st. On the 29th, what you can expect are a number of pre-event workshops. Essentially, what we're doing there is we recognize that there are a number of very particular interest groups that may need a specific space to kind of delve into issues related to what they're into, no? So the investment promotion agencies, we've partnered with them throughout time, and we're gonna be hosting a workshop for the investment promotion agencies. What we want to do more deliberately this year is also bring along a lot of Caribbean founders, right? Who is financing the pipeline? Who is holding the hands of entrepreneurs trying to get to the big stage? What we want to do is we're gonna run a parallel program alongside the Caribbean Investment Forum specific for them. These are all gonna start on the 29th. On the afternoon, the evening time of the 29th is when we're gonna do the official opening of the Caribbean Investment Forum. And this is gonna be hosted by none other than the Prime Minister of Jamaica, yeah? We expect to see all you wonderful diplomats, dignitaries in Montego Bay. And essentially what we're gonna be doing is kicking off with the opening ceremony. You'll see some speeches, you'll see a little bit more about where exactly we think we're positioning for the global stage, and we'll get a better sense of Jamaica's vision towards it, and we'll have our first networking cocktail right after the opening ceremony. On the 30th and the 31st, what you'll expect to see in conference style, what we're gonna be trying to do on the mornings are really present high impact, high-powered, high-level discussions around key topics. So as you would expect, our first panel is really gonna be a leadership panel, and we're gonna be discussing the big T word, right? We're gonna take it by the horns, and we're gonna have a really interesting panel with the T word, right? Given what's happening in the world right now and the reason why it is happening, what are the opportunities for the Caribbean? How do we turn what could seemingly be one of the largest challenges of the recent past into a significant opportunity to really position our Caribbean economies and our Caribbean firms? That's gonna be the first one. What we're also gonna be doing is utilizing and inviting very interesting high net worth individuals who have an interest in the Caribbean, who've invested in the Caribbean, and who have a genuine story. Being in Jamaica, we would love to bring those who have been invested in Jamaica as well, right? So I don't wanna talk too much about the who, I don't wanna say who they are, I'm not gonna to speak about anybody specifically, but essentially what we wanna do is we want real authentic stories. How did we make the journey, those dark nights when you cried, give us a little sneak peek into those, and that's what we're gonna be presenting. So in the mornings, what you'll see is panels, thematics, keynotes, fireside chats around the thematic areas of the conference. And in the afternoon, one of the things that we know Caribbean Investment Forum is really great for is that networking and that interaction. So on the afternoon of the 30th, we're going to be having our investment villages. So you would have heard Dr. Sinanan speak a lot about the projects that we're packaging. This is the avenue for them. They'll be given the main stage and they'll be speaking about their projects. They'll be putting them forward to investors within the room, and the plenary is going to also be involved in that part of the program as well.
And that's pretty strategic, because a lot of the times we have the conferences, we have the right people in the room, but they don't necessarily have the opportunity to really have the conversations to pitch or to say, this is what I'm doing. And so putting that village together really is, as Dr. Sinanan said, reducing the bureaucracy, reducing all of the friction that could possibly take place otherwise. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And here's the thing, right? We do the matching pre-event, yeah? And so it might be the case, you might just randomly come into the room, you see, say, if you like the opportunity, you're an investor, how do you organically get that connection to this particular project owner, right? So this stage allows you for them to give a sense to the wider crowd what's really going on, what they're really trying to do. And it also facilitates potentially joint partnerships, joint ventures between investors or investment interests, yeah? Here's what we're gonna do on the 31st. On the 31st, so the morning is gonna be panels, you're gonna have the workshops, but in the afternoon, we're gonna have a business pitch competition. Remember those firms that I told you will start in the pre-conference workshop? They will get the main stage and they would have a business pitch competition. So usually, it's very, very exciting. People really look forward to it. And I'm gonna be in the room and I don't have the money to invest, but I'll be like, this one I would invest in, yeah? And so essentially what we're gonna be doing then is really helping Caribbean entrepreneurs to package and really present themselves within the conference. And that's a kind of synopsis of it. The other thing that we're really great at and what we really see happening within SIF that people really, really love is the business-to-business engagements. So every single afternoon of the Caribbean Investment Forum, we'll have a dedicated space for business-to-business meetings. We're using a pretty interesting app. Once you purchase your ticket and you register for it, you'll see who else is coming. You can start to set up your meetings in advance. And essentially, you can make your organic connections more streamlined.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, Joellen, this is the 4th year. Wayne just kind of unpacked what we can expect over the 3 days. It seems as if you kind of try to cover all spaces, all places for the different kinds of attendees and the objectives of each person. What do you think?
Yeah, most certainly. I think, that's one of the key things about the investment forum. I mean, you asked me earlier about, well, who is it really for? And as Wayne would have just mentioned, we have, two tracks for it. So you have the small business, I say the smaller businesses, maybe the startups that are looking for investment and so forth, that are able to come and participate in the pre-workshops and pitch at the pitch competition. And then obviously we also have the investment villages where those larger scale projects that are looking for the investment can obviously also present their projects and seek investment. And as I said to you, this has been the key aspect of the event. And if we look at, over the years from the 2022 to up till now, I've seen there has been a huge growth in the number of people that have been coming forward to utilize the Caribbean Investment Forum as a platform to find investors, because they recognize the value in being able to present, get the feedback from the expertise, and also from the investor's point of view, they're able to come and see a number of investment projects across, the key sectors or the key industries as such, and get a first flavor of what to expect in the Caribbean, and I think that is really what has made it quite successful.
Fantastic. Is there anything else that you'd like to add in terms of, the investment, the partners?
Yeah, sure, of course. I want to use this opportunity to tell you about how you can get involved, yeah? So essentially where we're at, we've already secured the location, we have our agenda, it's coming together really well, but there's still some opportunities, yeah? Essentially what we can do and what's open right now would be still opportunities for sponsorship. if you're listening to my voice, you're very, very interested, you think that this may be an area for you, then definitely connect to us. You'll get an opportunity to speak to the lovely Joellen, and she'll explain to you all the different ways that you can get involved with us and the sponsorship of it. For the smaller businesses, maybe the ones that will go into the investment sprint, the Founders Investment Sprint, we're going to be launching that call this month. So keep your eyes open, plug into our social media, and you'll be able to see it, you'll be able to apply, and you'll be able to say, here I am, this is my idea, this is why I want to be a part of it, take me to SIF. Yeah?
And what about corporate? For businesses, companies, organizations that might want to send groups of persons, that is something that you will facilitate at CIF as well. Okay.
Definitely. And I'll be right outside the door to the right, and we can have that discussion here today. We're going to be doing an innovation showcase. So you spoke about the marvels of Jamaica, and we would have shared, Damien in his speech would have spoken about the entrepreneurship ecosystem. And what we're going to be doing is providing a stage for innovation, where you can come and demonstrate, like a demo space for innovators within SIF. And so businesses, if you're innovating, if you want to invest, if you just want to show off what you have, get some feedback. One of the things that the Caribbean Investment Forum is really, really great for is providing feedback to entrepreneurs, to project owners, to better their projects, right? So even if the investment doesn't necessarily happen at the Caribbean Investment Forum, what we see over time is that a lot of the projects that were pitched, a lot of the projects that were presented, after maybe some reformulation, some tinkering, based on the relationships and the networks that able to initiate at the Caribbean Investment Forum, we've started to see some of those investments come in. And I'm sure, like Shalette is right here, Shalette will tell you, you go into different markets, and it takes a while before it really settles in, before it starts to show the results. But what I can tell you is I've sat in maybe about 25 meetings in the very recent past, talking to some of the entrepreneurs, talking to the project owners who've been through SIF, who've been to SIF, and we've started to curate their experiences and the investments that have come out of SIF. What we're really trying to do with this particular one is narrow the gap and really accelerate those investments.
And I think it's important for you to make it very practical. There are those projects that are going to have a lot of interest and a quicker turnaround, but there are also there are those where CIF will be a catalyst, but it will take some time and some reiteration as well as refining over the process. Any closing remarks before we continue?
Thank you. No, just really that obviously we have the website where people can obviously go and visit, purchase the tickets. We do have an early bird special on at the moment. As you say, just reach out if you are looking for corporate tickets. There is a corporate package that we can also facilitate for business persons and for corporates as such. So do visit the CaribbeanInvestmentForum.com website, where also there is the agenda on the website for you to take a closer look at what is happening each one of those days.
All right. Well, Wayne kind of gave us a very good idea of what we're to expect over the first day, straight from the 29th to 30th and the 31st. But you know what? Don't take Wayne's word for it. Let's get a little taste of what is to come.
The Caribbean's premier investment forum is coming to Jamaica.
The Caribbean Investment Forum is certainly the premier investment conference covering the Caribbean region.
The CIF is our flagship event.
This is my second time attending the Caribbean Investment Forum. CIF has always been the relationships that we've been able to develop here.
It's really the best platform to make those connections.
Join us for 3 transformational days, connecting global investors to investment-ready projects, highlighting sectors driving the Caribbean's future, such as sustainable agriculture, green economy transition, digital transformation, logistics and transportation. CIF 2025, July 29 to 31, a bold step towards a smarter, greener, and more connected Caribbean.
We can't wait. I know it's always different when you actually get to the event, you get to meet the people and all the energy is there, but this is just the lead up. Now, we couldn't possibly have you come to Jamaica for those of you who are visiting us. And of course, we have those of you who are Jamaicans, but there's a huge thing when it comes to music. And we had to invite this particular entertainer, one of the greatest saxophonists in Jamaica. He first made a name for himself when he walked away with a national talent show. And it was the first of his kind simply because it was the first time an instrumentalist was winning and not a singer. And since then, he has toured the world with some of the greats, Romain Virgo, Beres Hammond, Marcia Griffiths, and the likes. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one and the only, the showman, Verlando Small. Another round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen, for Verlando Small, who clearly has 10 more lungs than the rest of us. Thank you for always selecting the most perfect songs for the events that I see you at. And I will go as far as saying that my side was singing way better than this side. Do I get some? Do I? My gosh. You know what? That being said, this side sang way better than that side over there. So we've heard from our speakers, our partners. We have heard from Wayne kind of unpacking for us to understand the importance of CIF 2025. But now I think we need to make it granular, we need to zoom in, and we now need to look at Jamaica leading from the front, unlocking green, smart, and connected investment opportunities in the Caribbean. And it is always a pleasure to invite this particular gentleman as our keynote speaker, simply because he is someone who does not believe in lip service. He does not believe in talk shop. He believes in the promise and the potential of the Caribbean, and he's someone who goes on any platform and he says it with his chest. When he speaks about Jamaica and the Caribbean, he says, put some respect on our names. And so it is always pleasing to hear what he has to say as he gives us not just the stats, but how we will continue to lead as a Caribbean people. Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker for this morning, Senator, the Honorable Aubin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce.
Isn't she absolutely wonderful? There's a song like that, you know, but I don't sing. But speaking of music, what an outstanding maestro. Rolando is outstanding. I see my ambassador friends here. I'll say hello in a minute, but really I sat there and listened to him, and the truth is, I was listening for a miss note. Not one. Not one. I watch him move up the scale and take those high notes. Not one miss. Rolando, you're out. Where is he? Down the back there. Rolando, you're outstanding, exceptional. I can see why you won, and I really, really enjoyed what you delivered for us this morning. Just as I enjoy being here with Dr. Terry Carell Johnson, yes. I know it's Terry Carell, but I saw it go. And this one is not a PhD doctor. She could really actually look after you if something went wrong with you. She's a doctor. She probably has a PhD too, but you can see Terry Carell is very, very, very capable, and I'm very happy to be here with you. You do a great job every time I see you. Her Excellency, Dr. Urgel Askolov, Head of the European Union Delegation to Jamaica, Belize, and the Bahamas. Very welcome, Doctor. Good to see you. Always good to see you. And I pick out, I'm glad that you're at the top there, because I want to say here, just very quickly, the European Union is Jamaica's most benevolent grant funding institution. I want to say that because I wanted to make sure you understand the respect I have for European taxpayers who make sure they give us money through a grant, and none of that money must be wasted at any time. And I'm so pleased that among all the multilateral partners we have, the European Union has consistently been our biggest grant funder. And Ambassador, I really appreciate it for you and all your colleagues here. I see my very good friend, I'm going to talk about shortly, Ambassador Olivier, the French ambassador. I see the Spanish ambassador here. You had a wonderful session recently. Was it with you, Shalette? Outstanding. And so the cooperation and blessing that we're getting from our association with the European Union is unsurpassed, and we really appreciate it. Dr. Damien Cinnamon. Dr. Cinnamon, you see why you really are right to be in Jamaica. I mean, look, I know Demi supports us, but really, I'm glad you're noticing why your support is not in vain from music to data. I think we have it down pat, and you're in the right place. Mrs. Shulette Cox, who is the president of JAMPRO. Shulette always presents so well and knows her subject. Good to have you. She goes off with me in a couple of days to New York for another investor conference, and we're looking forward to that. Ms. Joellen Laria, lead partnership advocacy and reporting of the Caribbean Export for CIF, or members of the Caribbean Export Development Agency team, all of you, always welcome in Jamaica. Even when Terry Carell, who doesn't get herself involved in any fake news, will post our friend, Wayne, I think, from Barbados, and post him in Trinidad, but really I understand that he is from Barbados. While she was trying to make other things that is coming over here to take over, she got a little bit of fake news in there. But we're happy to have you here and giving us all that you planned for us in July when the conference starts. All the private sector leaders are here, our sponsors, of course, the European Union, the Ministry. We have JAMPRO, of course, Republic Bank. I know Republic very well, and fitting that they're our sponsor, one of our sponsors for CIF this year. Glad to have them. And so, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Jamaica is built for investment. And for the past 10 years, that's all we have been doing, to make sure we build a country where Jamaicans and international investors, and especially our regional partners, can know that this is the place to invest. As Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Jamaica's business ministry, I'm pleased to be here at the Caribbean Investment Forum launch and to declare that if you're looking for the best place to put your capital, it's in the Caribbean, and Jamaica is the center of that place that you should put it. Jamaica has the privilege today of representing all our neighbors in the Caribbean, especially CARICOM, and all of them are welcome here. I pick out Trinidad and Tobago, Bahamas, Guyana as places where the conference has been held, but all my Caribbean neighbors are represented by us here in Jamaica today, and we're happy that the CIF is taking place in Jamaica. And there's a good reason for it. There are all kinds of good reasons. Our unemployment is down to historical low at 3.5%. It's something I love to say because I'm telling you this, in 2016, when we were coming to government, if anybody had asked me, where would our unemployment be in 2025? If I was brave, I would have said, I think 7%. And if they push me, I'd probably go down to another 1% more less. But I would never go to 3.5 because they would have called me mad in 2016 if I had said our unemployment figure in 2025 would be 3.5%. So I'm not mad. And that's where the figures are. We made the central bank independent in 2018. Minister Clark led the bill through the lower house. I think it was the Financial Accounting and Audit Act through the lower house. I led it through the Senate to make sure that the Bank of Jamaica was independent, and we gave them one mandate, not two. The Fed has two mandates. One is to make sure you manage inflation. The second is to make sure you control unemployment. We said, no. We are the government. We will make the policies. We will govern the country so that we have an unemployment rate that is acceptable. And look at where we are now, 3.5%. In any emerging market, 3.5% is full employment. The economists will tell you that. But look at where our inflation is. We gave them a range, the Bank of Jamaica, a range of 4 to 6%. We have been hovering at 4.4%. It's probably 5% now, but well within the range of 4 to 6%. You tell me, after pandemic, after hurricane, 6 months of rain after the hurricane, we still have that kind of inflation number. Jamaica is a place to be and to be investing. The Jamaican dollar is stable. When we decided to make sure the central bank looks after inflation and not manage the currency from day to day, that's a market activity. My business friends, I ran the biggest bank here. For those of you who don't know, I used to run NCB. They all call me, what's going to happen to the dollar? Lord of mercy, the heavens are coming down. I said, no, don't worry. It's not going to happen. I said, what we're going to do is manage inflation. Inflation is the biggest thief of value, especially for the poor. So we're going to manage inflation. And look at what has happened. We not only managed inflation, we kept growing our net international reserves as we kept pushing down our debt to GDP from 147 down to 68.7 now. We kept growing that net international reserve to the highest net international reserve in the history of this country, $5.785 billion and growing. Now, clap a little louder because that's important for the inflation number. The reason we are able to manage that inflation so well is because we have a net international reserve that people who might be tempted to play with the currency say, no, you can't take them on. I don't care which bank you are. You can't take on the central bank with that kind of reserve because in the past, people used to say on the radio, every time we're Monty here on the radio, oh, we only have 8 months left of money to buy goods or 12 months. If you've been here for the past 5 years, you've never heard that anymore. Nobody talks about how many months of money we have to buy what we have, because we have the money. And we make sure it is there to protect the dollar and protect poor Jamaicans from inflation that will eat away the little income that they earn. Some instances, income, all of you in here have big incomes, so we're not talking about you. Okay. And so we have done all of that. Drop our debt, reduce our unemployment, raise our per capita GDP to the highest in the country's history, and produce 10 budgets over a period of 9 years, and all 10 of those are without any increase in taxes. Indeed, we have cut taxes. And I challenge any of you in here, you all have big data. You tell me which non-oil producing emerging market country that has gone through the pandemic like we have and have gone through exogenous climate issues like we have and still come out with 10 budgets with no new taxes. I'll accept a round of applause. We've deserved it. We've worked hard. Jamaicans have worked hard at it. So crime is down 35%. You know, when the Prime Minister said we want to get to a place where we open our windows and doors and sleep, they said he was mad. Totally mad, like they would have called me mad if I had said in 2025 we would have an unemployment rate of 3.5%. But murders are down 35% for this year alone. It was 19% down last year, and the year before that was 9%. Jamaica is moving in the right direction. It's getting safer. And it has been made very clear to criminals, especially gang criminals, that we are coming after you, that if you keep threatening our citizens, we're going to come after you. And this minister supports every one of the men and women in blue. I support completely the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the work that they're doing. And I tell you something, it's not just this minister. A lot of Jamaicans are in the same supporting position. Major agencies like Fitch, S&P, and Moody's are saying Jamaica is a stable, investable place indeed. a very attractive investment destination. The very attractive investment destination is mine, so don't call up S&P and say, what are you saying? That's mine. Under Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, our Prime Minister has provided the leadership. We have delinked ourselves from that IMF program needed, but really was really stressful. Bitter medicine, it was called. We've had consistent fiscal surpluses, restructured our debt, and of course, we've pursued economic independence like never before. That is why I support a safer Jamaica. Men and women in blue are getting it done. Investment in agriculture, healthcare, digitization, upskilling, and free training. I support building better roads, improving access and logistics, and strengthening supply chain management across the country. This is a much better Jamaica than 10 years ago. This is a much better Jamaica than 5 years ago. I put it to you, this is a much better Jamaica than even 3 years ago. This is a better Jamaica. So what about investments? This year's Caribbean Investment Forum is being launched under the theme Smart, Green and Connected, and Jamaica is leading from the front. Now, I don't have the time to be able to discuss whether the climate issue is an issue or not. I know that when I came back home to Jamaica maybe 20 years ago, I used to go to a woman's fish. I tell this story because it's true. I used to go to Miss Mary's fish shop in Hellshire to buy fish with my family, to eat right there. Well, when I came, the sea was about at the back of the room there. Today, you go to Miss Mary's shop, she has had to move the front of the shop to about where this wall is because the sea has come in. We're an island. We don't have a big continent to argue about. We're not landlocked. We see what happens with climate change, and we have to take that on board. So, smart, green, and connected. Damie, you got it right. We're involved, and we want to make sure the connected part works. The connected part about all of us in the Caribbean. Yes, we're all small, but together we can do a lot more. Some of us will lead in different areas. Guyana clearly is the leader in per capita GDP. I give you the numbers. Forbes just disclosed them about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Forbes disclosed the 10 richest countries by GDP in the world. Luxembourg, #1, clearly in Europe. Singapore was #2. If Bermuda was an independent country, it'd be #3 at 125,000. Luxembourg was 154. Qatar was in the middle at 5 at 118. The United States was #10 at 89. And Guyana was #9 at $91,000 US. 3 years ago, there were 17,000. Last year, the year before last year, there were 20,000. Last year, there were $91,000. They are off the screen. They are the outlier. But Guyana is in the Caribbean. They have only 780,000 people, 215,000 square kilometers. Lots of space for all of us to participate with. And Guyana really wants to be the food center of the Caribbean. We're going to grow food in Jamaica, but boy, they have land. So we must make sure that as we build this together, that smart, green, connected, we connect everyone, from all the way down the bottom at Antigua, whoever is most east in the Caribbean, to right across to Guyana. And of course, Jamaica is right up there in the middle. Bahamas is up there doing what they do. So our proximity to major global markets, including the US East Coast, makes us a top 5 exporter to that region. And of course, remember, we don't export oil. So you can now guess who's probably #1 or 2 exporting to the US. We are building modern, smart ports with smart technology that could increase efficiency up to 30%. I've just praised Guyana. Well, Guyana has, like every other country, they have pluses and minuses. They have this great port of Georgetown, but the rivers dump silt into Guyana all the time, into the Guyana port. They have a draft of 4 to 6 meters. Jamaica is the natural logistics hub to help build Guyana until they get to a place 5, 7 years from now where they have a port that can compete with Singapore, Dubai, or Antwerp. So Jamaica is the place to invest, even if you have an eye on Guyana and you're not in the oil business. So disruptions in the Panama Canal, rising labor unrest and in major ports, and new tariffs, new forced global manufacturers and distributors to urgently restructure their supply chains. Jamaica's nearshore geographical position to the largest market in the world has brought greater focus to the Port of Kingston and to Jamaica as a whole. Jamaica is a clear answer. We are on the lowest rung of that tariff issue that is so topical today. We don't make the call. We are in the acceptance zone, and we're happy that it's only 10% that we're looking at if you have to have tariffs. So we are close to still the biggest market. The United States is 25, 26% of the GDP of the world. And they have the largest spending consumers. Europe may have more consumers, but the per capita spend in the United States is higher. We have a proximity that is still very good. The Andrew Holness administration is investing heavily in the Caymanas Special Economic Zone so that we can accommodate, and I'm saying now, Jamaican, Caribbean, and world investors. This morning, I spent my time sending a note to investors in the Middle East. There are people who are interested in coming to the Caribbean, and Jamaica is that nearshore place that we must look at. So I want European investors here. I want Mexican investors here. Some of them are here already in our hotels. I want people from all over the world to find Jamaica that acceptable investment place, that you have no currency restrictions. The legal system takes you straight up to the Privy Council in England. The independent judiciary is here. The central bank is free. You don't need me to get money to transfer, or the Minister of Finance. Clean money in, clean money out, no problems. Now, what could you want more? And we have a climate that is lovely, the place is green, and we have saxophonists of the caliber of Rolando. What more could you want? What more could you possibly want? This is a pro-business and a business-winning policy government. We support businesses. We know that we can't run this place without businesses. So the Special Economic Zone is there to attract people. The Caymanas Special Economic Zone, if you come in here as a master developer, where you take 50 acres or more of land, and you say you're going to develop it, we will give you a 50-year lease. We will make sure it's already in the law. Any income you make from renting out those areas that you will build to logistic operators, that will be free for up to 50 years. Any money you make other than from rental, you will be charged only 50% of the corporate tax rate in Jamaica, so you'll be charged only 12.5%. That could drop further to 7.75% because of what you will do in terms of marketing and training Jamaicans. So this is the place to be. Crime is falling, net international reserve is going up, and we're upskilling our people every single day with that help of 9.5 million euros from our wonderful European Union benefactor, a grant to upskill our people. We're spending, thank you very much, we're spending 1.5 million of that through the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, one of the 20 agencies in my ministry, to make sure that we upskill, we help 2,700 MSME companies to upskill and upgrade their businesses. Isn't that fantastic? Please, thank you very much, European Union, for being so good to us, and we're going to make sure we use it well. We match that with our own money, and we're very happy that this is going on. We're building an ecosystem, a legal ecosystem, to make sure that all the services that Turks and Caicos, Cayman and Bermuda offer, British Virgin Islands, will come here. Many Jamaican lawyers and accountants do the business there. I've just passed through the Senate and the Parliament the law to make sure we have segregated accounts in Jamaica. We have partnerships limited and general. We're making sure the trust arrangements are here and clear so that the legal system, matched with a freely converted currency, a strong legal judiciary system, is here for people who want to do heavy financial transactions. And that's an area that we want to grow, because we know we don't have the landmass of Russia, the United States, or all the countries in Europe, but neither does Singapore, frankly, neither does Luxembourg. So you use smart people, smart technology, invest well, you can do exceptionally well. We intend to do exceptionally well. So, the last thing that I'm going to tell you about, we've just in the process, just laid in the Parliament this week, something I'm going to give you a preview on, the large-scale Project and Pioneering Act, to make sure anybody who brings in $1 billion or more will get statutory, legislated benefits, incentives, so that you come to Jamaica. Now, we've been working on this for about 5 years. We're a small country. President of the United States gets up and says, anybody who brings in $1 billion will get all kinds of benefits. You don't have to talk to anybody else. Come to the White House. So a guy from Dubai, company I know when I worked in the Middle East, just steps up in Washington and says, here, $20 billion. SoftBank says, here's another bunch of millions of dollars. So we are putting in that legislation to encourage, and we have, I can tell you right now, the moment we pass that law, we have an investor waiting for 3 or 4 years. They will be the first one to break ground under the LPPIA legislation. So bring the others, come. Ambassador Urja from Europe, we take them on. Ambassador from Spain, you already have a lot of investment here. Bring some more. We're happy to have you. So we're making it so that all investors, small investors, Jamaican investors, Trinidadian investors who are here already, they're here because our stock market is so well run and where currency is free. Other investors are coming from the region. Please come to Jamaica. Please come to Jamaica for the CIF conference on July 29th to the 31st. We're having it in our convention center in Montego Bay. All the fancy hotels are there. There are tennis courts. You can run if you want. There's equestrian activity. Let me tell you this. Jamaica is the place to be. We're happy to have CIF here this year, and thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for our Minister of Business / Minister of Tourism, based on what he just said at the end. I would like to re-invite the Minister to the stage. We might just need to remove the lectern if that's possible. I'd like to invite the Minister, the Ambassador, Shulette Cox, as well as Dr. Sinanan for a photo op, please. We're going to invite the Minister in the center, Dr. Sinanan, to stand beside the Minister, Shulette Cox to stand on the other side of the Minister, and the Ambassador to stand beside Dr. Sinanan. Our Minister of Business said, wherever you are in the world, come to Jamaica and bring your money. He will take all currencies. And Verlando, based on what the Minister said, yesterday's price is not today's price. I think I'll also, of course. Congratulations. Thank you again for the partnership. We look forward to CIF 2025 in July. Thank you so very much. Another round of applause for our minister who was our keynote speaker. I invite Joellen. I think I will just mention the minister said that he was not mad. My grandmother says that mad people are often misunderstood, but they get the work done. And I think I'll go as far as saying that when we look at the movers, the shakers, the taste makers, the pioneers, the innovators, the titans of industries, they're all a little, I know me says so, I want to say so. Thank you so very much, Minister, for your presentation. Joellen, he was speaking about regional importance. What were your thoughts?
You can still hear me? Right. Well, that was actually really fantastic. I can quite clearly understand why you call him the Minister of Business. I mean, to hear that, the employment rate is at 3.5% is phenomenal. To see the amount of the projects and the amount of investment that's coming into the region, I think it's quite clear when we see the presence of the various ambassadors from the other European countries here. I think that speaks for itself, and the fact that obviously Jamaica is very much open for business and attracting the right sorts of people into, not only into Jamaica, but hopefully it should catch on across the rest of the region as well. Because it's important to know that the Caribbean Investment Forum is a regional event. And whilst we know that Jamaica has a huge brand equity internationally, people recognize Jamaica. They know where Jamaica is. We heard the saxophonist earlier, playing the second national anthem, let's say, and it is instantly recognizable. And so it's fantastic to be here in Jamaica for this 4th edition of the Caribbean Investment Forum.
We absolutely look forward to it. My biggest takeaway from what you said, Minister, you said no matter what we're doing, we are to stay connected as a region, and we must be willing to lead differently based on our strengths. And I really do think that that is something important where we can step back and say, this country is better, they can lead in this department. We are better in this particular department, and we can do better. So I think staying connected, but recognizing and acknowledging the strengths of our fellow Caribbean countries. At this time, we'd like to invite Raquel Brown, VP Marketing and Opportunity Packaging of JAMPRO, to deliver the vote of thanks. Please make her welcome.
I'm not that short. Good morning, everyone. I would just like to say thank you. It's an honor and privilege to have you all join us this morning for the official launch of Caribbean Invents Forum 2025. On behalf of Caribbean Export, JAMPRO, and our partners, European Union, we would like to say thank you for being here and joining us today to make this a reality. Senator, the Honorable Auburn Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, thank you so much for assisting in having Cabinet providing the funding to make this a reality for us. Without you, this would not have happened. And most importantly, echoing to the world, not just to the Caribbean, that capital is to be placed in the Caribbean and in Jamaica. Special thanks to Dami Sinanan, Executive Director, Caribbean Export. Your leadership has been unwavering, and you are in line with JAMPRO and also our minister in relation to what we have to do, which is to grow exports and to grow investments. Thank you. To Her Excellency, Dr. Asia Scola of the European Union, thank you for all of your assistance, your continued dedication, and if it's one thing I remember, no tariffs. We are clear, no tariffs. To my president, Mrs. Shalette Cox. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for giving us the charge to make sure that Minister's directive is honored, and we're here to ensure that with the Caribbean Export Team, SIF 2025 will be talked about for many years to come. Dr. Terry Carell Johnson and Joellen Herrera and to Wayne, thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your understanding of what is important for the Caribbean at this time. We're all a little exhausted every day in the news, but you're making sure that what we focus on is the opportunities that are to come about in the years to come, and especially in the Caribbean and in Jamaica. Most of all, I want to say thank you to my team, the Jamper team, and the Caribbean Export team to making today a reality. And to all of our stakeholders and our diplomatic corps, thank you very much for being here. We look forward to seeing you in July 29th to the 31st, the Montego Bay Convention Center. Please remember to register. There's early registration, and I would like to ensure that at the end of today, you have an exceptional experience. Thank you very, very much. And at this time, we would like to just have a great reception and opportunity for networking. Thank you.
Thank you ever so much, Raquel. And as she said, just to reiterate, the event, the 29th to the 31st of July 2025, Montego Bay. Do visit the website, CaribbeanInvestmentForum.com. There's early bird tickets that are available now. They're only available until the 20th of May. Those that have pre-registered, you can use your discount code. You should get an email about that. And there is also going to be an early bird, let's say a launch discount as well. So please do look out for the discount code SIF 2025 and visit the website in order to do that. And as we say, we are about to have our networking event. Myself, Damie and Wayne are here, so please do connect with us. We can talk to you about how you can participate in the event and answer any questions that you may have.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for being here. Let's make the Caribbean smart, green, and let's make the Caribbean smart, green, and thank you so very much for being here. For those of you who traveled to come to Jamaica, we wish you journeying mercies. And of course, thank you so very much for being here. Take care.
Can I just ask all of the presenters to join us